ほらまだまだやれっぞ。
Have you noticed that Dragon Ball Super had a big story problem that has gone on throughout the entire Tournament of Power? And in what ways did they recently solve that problem for the time being? Well, to answer your thoughts, alrighty guys, it is Quadman here today, also known as Detective Q, and today I'll give you an in-depth analysis as to what this problem is and how Dragon Ball Super realistically and quietly covered this problem up. So let's get started. So, what's the first thing we need to discuss? Well, the first thing we need to talk about is this big problem that I talk about. And the problem that is persisted is the fact that there is a massive power gap in the Tournament of Power. And to be more specific, I'm talking about the differences between the really strong characters and the really weak characters. And because of this, we've seen numerous instances in this whole bout in the Tournament of Power in which Goku and Vegeta, along with numerous other characters, seem like they're struggling against their opposition, but because we know how strong they are in the inside with their Super Saiyan transformations or with multiple techniques, we know that they really aren't trying, which reduces a lot of the tension in the Tournament of Power because we know they're holding back so much. And to top this all off, when you factor in that Goku and Jiren specifically are the two strongest characters in the Tournament of Power, this now takes the scale up to a significantly higher level because with Goku's Ultra Instinct form and with Jiren's true power being shown, or at least in marginal amounts of it, we are now getting a chance to see that there are even greater heights between Goku and Jiren versus the entire Tournament of Power gap. And because of this, it made it very unrealistic for the other universes and other characters to even be competitive. So with this problem being stated, how did Dragon Ball Super solve this? Well, they did it in a very quiet and simple way. And the best way to talk about this is to talk about Goku going first. So, as we saw when Goku was fighting against Jiren, he went into his Ultra Instinct form, he was giving everything he had. He threw a Spirit Bomb at him, he went Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 20, he was giving Jiren everything he possibly had and he couldn't take him down. And then he eventually went into his Ultra Instinct form and actually held his own for quite a small amount of time, but he did manage to show that he could at least compete with Jiren into Ultra Instinct form. Now, why is this really important? Well, Dragon Ball Super essentially handicapped Goku, and they did this in a very smart way because they had to make Goku at a weaker state now that we know what his true power and his true capabilities are, so that the other fighters in the Tournament of Power can now be involved in the fight. And as you guys would remember, throughout the entire battle between Goku and Jiren, essentially, for the most part, everybody was just watching what was going on and wasn't really even continuing fighting on their own, showing you how much they pale in comparison to the true might between Goku and Jiren. And the interesting thing about this is that because Goku is now, at least I guess you could say, trying to recover from that Ultra Instinct transformation or form or whatever you want to call it, this now puts Goku at a handicap in fighting the other members of the Tournament of Power, which levels the playing field. And the next thing we need to talk about now is actually dealing with Jiren. Now, this has been something that has been ongoing throughout the Tournament of Power, so what happened recently is kind of just going back to what originally was happening. But as we saw during the beginning of the Tournament of Power, essentially Jiren was just standing around while the other Pride Troopers were going out and fighting and was just observing what was going on, and only really used his power when he truly and honestly needed to. And after fighting against Goku in his Ultra Instinct form, and also after defeating Hit, Jiren essentially took out or he didn't really take Goku out, but he essentially held off Goku and defeated Hit, who were two of the top tier characters in the Tournament of Power, which allowed him to go back to meditating and regaining his power. And because of his overconfidence, he's now going to allow Dispo and Topo to continue the battle in his place. Now, what does this do? When you combine Goku and Jiren being out of commission, Goku being in commission but not being at 100% because of his recent transformation, and Jiren getting out of the fight itself because of the fact that he doesn't want to utilize his energy on weaker mortals, this now completely lowers the battling field because it makes it much more competitive. Goku isn't 100%, Jiren's not fighting, and now it's going to be about everybody else fighting each other until Goku and Jiren eventually fight each other again, or whatever way that the Tournament of Power direction goes into Goku fighting Jiren once again, or however Jiren loses, because we all have to assume Universe 7 is going to win if the ending of Z obviously happened. So I think that from a quiet and realistic point of view, I do think Dragon Ball Super managed to realistically create an excuse and a part of the storyline that actually allowed Goku and Jiren to be out of commission or limited in commission to make the actual Tournament of Power much more rich in action. But I want to bring up one more big point for you guys today and talk about a what-if scenario. And this what-if scenario specifically is dealing with a mini scenario in which what if Goku and Jiren were still fighting? So let's say Goku did not power out of his Ultra Instinct form and Jiren continued to fight Goku. Regardless of whatever the outcome would be, those two characters are so powerful that whoever even tried to intervene in the fight could easily be blown away, or whoever won between the two of them would be so strong compared to the other characters if they can maintain their power that all of the other characters would be irrelevant. So, in other words, if Goku went Ultra Instinct and fought against all of the other members of the Tournament of Power, the Tournament of Power would be over in a minute because it's like stacking a bunch of ants against a dinosaur. No matter how many ants you have, they're not going to beat a dinosaur because the dinosaur is just so strong. And a similar concept also applies to Jiren, but the interesting thing about Jiren is that unlike Goku, Jiren actually has two very powerful comparable teammates that can fight against other members of the Tournament of Power. So although Toppo and Dispo might not be as strong as Jiren, compared to the rest of the fighters in the Tournament of Power, Dispo and Toppo are top tier, especially now that Hit is gone. So when you look at Goku's team as compared to Jiren's team, Goku has Vegeta, he has Frieza, and then it kind of goes down from there, maybe Gohan and Android 17, but the scale really goes down from Goku's power to the rest of his teammates, and then from there on out, when you get to characters like, unfortunately, Piccolo and Android 18 and the rest, and obviously Krillin, Master Roshi, and Tien, who've all been eliminated, that even completely lowers the scale of how high and low Goku's team actually is compared to Jiren's. So in other words, it's like Jiren has 3 strong, whereas Goku has like 3 strong, like 2 medium, and like 2 weak, and the rest are super weak. So essentially that kind of lowers the playing field for everybody else, and I think it makes it significantly more competitive. So ultimately guys, I think when we look at this from different angles, I think we can all say that the handicapping was definitely necessary for the Tournament of Power. I don't really think that this is a problem that has been born through Dragon Ball Super, and I think that this has been something that we can all look back at the entire Dragon Ball franchise and say has always existed to a degree. There have always been characters that were just so much stronger than other ones that even with teamwork, it's really hard for the other teammates to actually make a difference. But when you weaken Goku, when you handicap him, and when you take Jiren out of the actual fight itself, now you're actually making things a lot more interesting, and because of how strong Goku and Jiren have demonstrated themselves to be, this is going to motivate the other members of the Tournament of Power to actually gang up and get those 2 guys out of the Tournament of Power so that they have a fighting chance. I mean, if you look at the other universes, how do you think they felt when they saw such godlike power between Goku and Jiren, and they're saying to themselves, well, we can't stand a chance against them, so we all kind of gotta team up to have the best shot and then see whoever stands out between the remaining parts of us in this Tournament of Power. And I think that that's definitely something that is going to improve Dragon Ball Super and this entire major power scaling problem. But the video doesn't end here, guys, because I want to know your thoughts in the comment section below as to what you guys think. Do you guys think that, you know, this has actually been a very quiet and methodical way to improve the whole playing field in this Tournament of Power? Do you feel that this is actually going to show how strong Goku and Jiren will be once they recover? I'm really curious to hear all your thoughts in the comment section below. So with everything else said, please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And remember, as I always say, to have a great day, guys.